You're listening to the voice of IWA Flip here on Interfed Radio. With me today in studio, the one, the only, Jerry Horton. Jerry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, brother?
Oh man, I'm doing well. Like I said, just moving this show along, trying to get as many managers as we can. And I'll say it like this, man. I mean, whew, the times we had in the NWL. I mean, I needed to get you on, man. I was like, you know what? I got to get locked down on here.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on the show. This is definitely an honor.
Oh yeah, man. It's now for anyone that doesn't know, what leagues can we find you in right now, Jerry?
Right now, Lockdown is in the ASL, the All-Star League, and my other wrestler, War Goddess, is in the IWL, the Independent Wrestling League.
Nice, nice. Now, like I mentioned, I mean, I had my run-ins with Lockdown in the NWL, to the point where Lockdown ended up running us out of the league. So we have our history. We have our history.
Oh yeah, we definitely have our history, and some of the stuff we did was just outrageous.
Oh man, good times in the NWL. Now, and to move things forward, I mean, Lockdown is. We were talking right before we came on air. Uh, you're a. Those are your only two wrestlers.
Yeah, right now it's the only two wrestlers that I do have. I've recently been back in wrestling. It's going to go on for about going on 2 years, two or so years. And what's the old saying? I just was getting my feet wet and then moving forward. And I want to try just two wrestlers at the moment before if I ever decide to get more in. I kind of want to get the experience back and then go from there.
Oh yeah, I mean, and for a manager like yourself, a manager like myself, that's you know, uh, I like to throw the term small roster out there, and
Oh, yeah, small roster, definitely. I mean, I guess it's just, I would just want to try something, start simple and then build my way up to it.
oh yeah, and it's the perfect time for a small roster player to be in the IWA with the new Elite Championship that's been inaugurated these last couple of cycles, and all the great,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, all the
I mean,
great new limit leagues that are out there.
oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many leagues, and just to choose one, it's kind of like being a kid in a candy store.
Oh yeah, I mean we talked about this earlier. I mean the interfed that we're doing now, what I'm using it for is to promote different managers, promote different characters, and Lockdown, in my eyes, is one of those characters that's gonna be sought out because you're an exclusive manager. You're in very few leagues, so different commissioners are going to be looking to you to try and get you to come to their leagues. Because again, you have a character like Lockdown who's an icon, and managers like yourself, far too few.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's kind of how can I put it? It's kind of like college football almost for me. How I can kind of compare it to where you could be the best guy out there, quarterback, running back, and when you have people looking at you, it's like, okay, you have all these different leagues looking at you, but you just don't know which one to go to.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and we had another manager on a few shows ago. His name was Dennis Mooney, and himself, he's just a one league guy as well. One league. That's all he plays in, and he's currently in the L Living Nightmares League, LNL. And I,
Oh yeah,
I told them the same thing. I go, you know what? I go, it's beautiful to have managers that are exclusive, because and now that we have this interfed going, we can introduce some of these managers, to the community.
yeah, and that's what I like about it, getting the managers, and having the time, getting to know one another, like listening to the radio shows and like, okay, this is cool. Now I know who I'm in leagues with or who I'm going against, and learning that, how long they've been here and or if they're new, maybe if they're new, help them out a little bit. Just, we've all been in that spot to where what are we going to do here? I am not doing too good. I'm doing average. I want to do better. And like I said, Jake Joyce is one of those people who basically I talked to, and he reached out to me and helped me out. And I really thank Jake for that because he's another guy who knows his stuff in the leagues.
Oh yeah, he's one of those iconic figures here in the IWA who just, if you're one of those new managers or if you're if you're out there, he's one of those guys that reaches out and helps quite often.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, ironically, I was over in I think it was Medford, Oregon, and I was at a hotel and I got online and talked to Jake, and Jake helped me with my strategy.
Nice.
And I said, "Hey, thanks, brother. I really do appreciate that." And that helped Lockdown really develop to be a better wrestler. I mean, he was, like you said, he was a multiple time six-man and tag team champion, a 2017 Hell in a Cell champion. He was Prairie champion briefly in the NWL. And right there, I knew if I keep going the way I'm going with my wrestler, eventually in one of these leagues, when he does graduate the NWL, he's going to win some titles.
Oh yeah, and you were mentioning earlier, you've made the jump to the ASL, and let's say it like it is. Lockdown is an instant impact because he's in the top five. He's going to be challenging for that world title in the ASL, cycle in, cycle out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this next phase in Lockdown's future.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's exciting but yet scary. When you try new things, like with our group Salvation being together and
Oh
doing
wait,
new
wait, wait,
things.
wait,
To
wait. We can't just throw that out there like that. We have to introduce people to it. I mean,
Yeah.
let's give people a little bit of a background into or a little let's set the setting as to what happened in the ASL because we had our
Oh, okay.
rivalry. We had our rivalry in the NWL with my
Oh
Red
yeah.
Rum Vendetta and your
Will Becker.
Lockdown. Oh yeah, and
Uh-huh.
Willowick as well. And of course, time happens, and you got to graduate to the ASL. And when I saw that, I was ready to pounce. I'm like, all right, this guy got me out of the NWL, so let's go ahead and revisit this.
Yeah, let's revamp the feud a little bit and get going. And then, like I said, we had off and on matches where you won some matches, I won some. And then you and I just finally decided, let's just end it right here. We feuded long enough. Let's start teaming up.
Oh yeah, I mean, and let's say it like this, as a wrestler, because it is the imaginary wrestling, and I'm the kind where my wrestlers don't forget. They have a past. They have they're like I kind of treat them like real individuals. They've gone through their struggles. They've gone through their contract negotiations from different leagues, and now they see some familiar foes, and they make the jump to the ASL. And when they get to the ASL, just like anybody that's going to a new promotion, there's new managers there, there's new rivals there, there's new angles that are already in place. So Lockdown and in Red Rum, they kind of they said, hey, you know what, we're in this for the same in this for the same type of angle. So let's stop beating one another up and let's go after the rest of the ASL. And we decided to form a group
Oh yeah,
in
I
the
mean, we might
ASL.
as well just put our yeah, yeah, because like I said, our feud was pretty much coming to its climax, and we did it. Like I said, you and I decided to do that angle where okay, the loser shakes the winner's hand, which you won the feud, and we shook on it and say, okay, that's it, no more. And then we proceeded to do an angle, like say with Britt Buckingham poisoning Lockdown's tea, where your guys came to the hospital to visit Lockdown, and then you went after Britt Buckingham, letting him know that was a coward way, and you also said that with Lockdown, we respect him, but we never would stoop to that level to take him out like that.
Oh yeah, it's one of those like hey, that crosses the line. It's like, hey, you know what, hitting somebody over with a chair, okay, I get it, slamming them through a table, that's part of wrestling. But poisoning somebody is like, come on.
It's like, come
Oh.
on. I mean, I almost wanted to tell Britt Buckingham this isn't Friday the 13th for crying out loud, you know.
Oh man.
And it was something where, I'll admit I got suckered into it where, oh, here, meat for tea, we'll talk, sir, and all that. And I'll admit I fell for it. And then that thing where Lockdown went to the bathroom puking, that's when I decided to put the angle of the poison in the tea. And then he denies it, saying, well, that was just, you can't handle good British tea. I'm thinking, yeah, okay. They
Oh
weren't good
man.
to the last gasp.
Oh man, but it's some great times right now in the ASL. A lot of old managers, a lot of new managers making their way. Like I said, we're trying to coordinate all the new and old managers into different angles to kind of move the show there in the ASL forward. As we mentioned off air, Peter Houston and Frank Snow do a phenomenal job there presenting their report.
Oh
And
yeah, they definitely do a good. But yeah, both those guys really have good imagination and a good mind when it comes to the ASL. I mean, everything they do, I give them a lot of credit because right now they're the glue in the ASL that's holding it up.
oh, definitely. Oh yeah, I
You
mean,
know, and
oh, go ahead.
oh yeah, it's like when I had him with Robert Van Damage, I didn't realize how good his wrestler was when Lockdown took him on and lost a couple times and finally got a victory over him. I'm like, yes, you know, because this guy is a really good player,
Oh yeah.
and I'm throwing everything I can at him. This guy's still beating me, and then finally when I got the victory, I'm like, yes, you know,
Scored.
yeah, it's kind of like when you face an arch rival in wrestling, like when especially high school wrestling. I had an arch rival, and this guy I could never pin. We faced each other freshman, and then freshman year where I won 4-2, and then at my own tournament in Tillamook, we were in the same bracket, and him and I looked at each other and just laughed. We're
Nice.
wrestling again, and I had it, and I ended up facing him. We both were undefeated in the tournament. We beat our guys, and then it ended up being him and I went out there. I had his shoulders down, but he got out of it, and I only won 9-0. And after the match, we shook hands and hugged on it, and I said, "You did it again." And he laughed and said, "Yeah, Jerry, I did it to you again." And
Oh man.
I won the match, but it was a good victory, but I wanted a pin so bad. And it's like, great, Mike stuck it to me again. He's going to go through, even when I'm an old man and I look back at this, Mike Cooper's going to be the guy who I could never pin.
Nice, nice. And just like you're saying, just the same way that, that rivalries build up in your real life in sports and stuff. I mean, the IWA has that same quality. I mean, you have some managers that, are, hey, I'm going to go after this guy and this rivalry probably will never end. I mean, even though right now we're kind of, we're taking the same side, but that Red Rum and Lockdown angle, in the near future, who knows? It's one of those rivalries that, it's it's both of the guys, they're brutal. I mean, they've shown it from day one. And
Oh, yeah.
right now they've decided to kind of join forces
It's kind of
and
like comparing, like in wrestling, where you saw two guys like I say, Vader and Cactus Jack. These two guys went at each other and had some pretty rough matches, and then they teamed up, but the rivalry was still there. You could still see it.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, right now we're kind of, we're taken to the same side. Like you mentioned, we're now Salvation, along with Timothy Clark and some of his guys there. We've decided to, bring some of the new class in the ASL together to kind of rival the old guys, because the old guys have been there. I'm sure they've seen it all. Like, everyone that I talk to that's been in the IWA for, 20 years, they're like, bro, you can't surprise me. I've seen it all.
Yeah, and that's another guy too that I really have to give a shout out to is, if that's okay, to Timothy Clark, because he's been a big help to me as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
You
Timothy's
know,
another great guy.
oh yeah, he's a great guy, and he's got a lot of wrestlers that I didn't realize were in a lot of places. And when him and I talk regularly, whether it's on Facebook Messenger, or whatever, we talk to each other and we get ideas, for the group. And when I mention this idea, he's like, "I'm in."
You're like, count
So
me in.
so yeah, the three of us together, I think we're going to be a dominant force there, and people are going to look at the ASL like, who in the heck is this? Kind of like a deer in the headlights, like, who are these guys?
Right, right, right. You know what? I'm loving it right now. Like I said, there's a lot going on. As you mentioned when we were off air, I mean, you had another character there, but the angle kind of fell through with Athena, and
Mm-hmm.
and you've recently you said you made that move over to the IWL with your new character, War Goddess,
Yes, War Goddess.
and
Yeah,
oh, go
and
ahead.
she's going to be a force to reckon with there. And she's the only female in the IWO right now, and they better watch out because don't take her lightly because she's a woman. I mean,
Nice.
she's a deadly wrestler. She's a fighter, and I kind of brought her up in her background. She had a hard upbringing and everything. And she's a gal who basically, you want to introduce to mom, but also girl you don't want to make mad.
I like it.
So,
Nice.
so beauty, brains, and fighting skills.
Nice.
So I'm looking to do many, many things. And right now, with my attention being in the ASL most of the time, the one gal I have that's her assistant, that's my assistant manager, Susan. She's going to be managing over there. Another character is going to be managing her. But on occasion, I'm going to make appearances over there to see what's going on and throw my two
Nice.
cents in and maybe be in some trash talk and sneak attacks and do stuff like that. So
Nice.
it's pretty good the way I'm going with that. Like, okay, Gerald Horton's not here. He has his assistant manager, Susan, managing War Goddess, but she even brought up he will be here from time to time to check on things. So
To
better
make a cameo from time to time.
basically make a cameo to see how my wrestler and my assistant manager is doing to make sure do I have to come over here and do things myself. I'm kind of taking bits like from Portland wrestling and all that, where you have a manager leave and all that, and they come back and it was a group that had all the titles, and all of a sudden you come back like, okay, what happened? You
Like
know?
I leave for 10 seconds and you guys manage to lose everything. What in the world?
Yeah, and I'm also doing my managerial thing, kind of like I don't know if you're familiar with Len Denton, the grappler.
Oh, you got me with that one. No.
Yeah, he wrestled in world class championship wrestling. Then he made it to Portland wrestling, and he kind of went from he was a villain, then he was a face. But this guy could cut a promo that you couldn't believe, and I kind of get that background from him. Like if I speak up, I kind of channel him in that too. Like, wait, that's the Dawn pick a minute. What's going on here?
Nice.
It's like I was like, I'm gonna say, and I'll say stuff like, I couldn't leave you $100. I couldn't leave you $100. I'd come back, you'd have 1 cent left because you'd spend your money not on food.
Oh man.
I do stuff like that.
And Jerry, like, if I mean, I've gone on record saying this. I mean, and I think your vision of the IWA is very similar to mine, where it's I treat the IWA kind of like like a real world. So every league is its own little promotion, just like you just mentioned, Portland wrestling. I know there's ROH. I know in LA we have small promotions like Lucha Vavoom. But that's the way I see the IWA. Every league is a small promotion somewhere.
Oh yeah. Everyone
And
starts small and eventually gets big.
yeah, I mean, and I've always had that vision. And in uh, when it relates to our fighters, I'm the kind and I'm the type that fighters don't disappear. So Lockdown, just because he went from the NWL league or promotion to the ASL, doesn't just vanish, into oblivion. It's still Lockdown. He has a history. It's just like when fighters make that jump from NXT into the WWE, or from ROH to a different indie promotion. If a manager has a good character, he's going to keep that character moving.
Oh yeah. He's definitely going to keep the character going. I mean, you got to.
Oh yeah, I mean it's very rare to go from one promotion to another and be a whole new character. I mean that would drive a person insane to have to remember all the different gimmicks and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the right gimmick, stick with it. I mean, like my grandfather used to say, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Oh yeah, that's words from the wise right there. Because yeah, I mean
Oh yeah.
I mean right now the IWA is transitioned into what I see, a lot of migration into these elite leagues. A
Mhm.
lot of movement, and like I was telling you, I'm looking forward to Lockdown's ASL reign, because you're in the top five, so you have a shot at that elite title every cycle now.
Yeah, and I'm definitely praying to the big guy upstairs that I do get the league title because that'll help out.
Oh yeah.
And eventually, who knows, maybe make it to the IWA World Title because that's my main goal right now. I want to get the IWA World Title. Not only for me, but for a friend of mine, who I lost many years ago. I want to do that for him.
Nice.
The guy was my best friend and all that, and I lost him in a tragic car accident 26 years ago, and he was a big wrestling fan too. So yeah, I'd like to do it for my friend Henry, and say, hey man, and this is for you.
Nice. See, those are the stories that I want to get on air because it's like, I say this game has an addictive quality, but some people have a different, what do they call it? Something else that keeps them in the game, something like that. Just, those stories like that, I definitely have to get on here because.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if we can help you bring a title home for Henry, man, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
Oh man.
Well, bro, I'm probably gonna have to get going for good to work right now.
No worries, Jerry. Like I said, man, I mean, I'd love to have you on as much as we can. Like I said, we look forward to having you there in the ASL, and good luck in the IWO because that's another tough league there.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me on the show.
Oh man, like I said, you're always welcome on here.
And if it's okay, I'd like to give a shout out to a couple people, if that's okay, sir.
Yeah, most definitely. Go right ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I was going to say Robert Harper. I miss you being in the ASL, and I'm still going to keep going on for you. God bless you, brother. Timothy Clark, thanks for helping me, bro. And I love to work with you, and thank you so much for helping me when I needed help. And also to my girlfriend Jennifer, thank you for supporting me in this too. And thank you so much, sweetie.
You know it, guys. Now, we're going to go ahead and cut it off right there. You've been listening to the voice of the one, the only, Jerry Horton, and myself, IWA Flip, here on Interfed Radio. You guys have a good morning. Take care, Jerry.
You too, sir. You too, brother.